Hello, Vitaly Giman here again. Today I have a very special guest, Suzanne Daigle, and she is from New Focus Strategic Group, a consulting group focusing on self-management, self-organizing. But today she's talking about a very special topic about Agile beyond software. Some of you know about Agile. She's talking from a different, from I guess, a humanitarian, humanistic perspective, right? I mean, you introduce yourself,
Yes,
Suzanne.
yes. Thank you. Thank you, Vitaly. And I'm so happy to be here and to talk about this topic. And yes, I do want to talk about Agile Beyond Software, which is one component of the whole self-organizing, self-managed movement. It's all connected together. And if I may first start by saying, how did I get into this? And, I started my career as a business journalist, hired by a pretty progressive company in traditional manufacturing that believe that employees should be treated like real stakeholders in the company. And it was almost unheard of in those days. And it gave me a free license to travel across the company on mill floors, in sales and finance and everywhere. And it was so amazing to see that when people have an opportunity to align their work to the key strategies of the company, what a difference it made, and to be seen. I also saw, however, the silos, the politics, the sectors operating at cross purposes with each other. So I can say that since my mid-20s, I have been so passionate about igniting human potential and optimizing human potential for high performance. And it's not an easy task in our command control traditional hierarchical world. So that's where I got my start. And, when you believe in something like that, you're always trying to pull people together behind the scenes. You're trying to point out things. And, you're working, if you see a project where people can rally, you want that to happen. So you want finance and operations to work well. You want sales and marketing to work well. But it's a struggle. It's not easy. And in 2009, I was exposed to open space technology, which is a meeting methodology that pulls people together around a burning issue and a burning platform. It brings those sectors together. It brings the generations together. And it puts people to work. Everything's documented. And I thought, holy wow. If I had known that early in my career, I would have this would have saved so much time. So I threw myself at this. And it does have a lead in a segue to Agile.
So maybe you want to share the slide. If you can share
okay.
that slide.
Yes, and I'll get to this slide. So in 2009, I was exposed to open space technology. And in 2010, I was co-facilitating with Harrison Irwin, and I'll show you the slide of what happened that got me into the Agile world. There we go. There we go. Okay, so here we'll go with a full slide here. And this is where it happened for me in Orlando. At a 3-day conference that was with the Scrum Alliance. And the third day was going to be an open space. And the 2 days were workshops and, a whole bunch of different things that were going on. And Vitaly, what I noticed there is that the people that were attending that were so engaged. They were so excited. The topics were about leadership. Yes, they were about programming. Sometimes they were about some of the technical processes of what they do. They had improv. And it just hit me that, wow, the people in technology have always seemed to be doing some cool stuff. They're direct with each other. They're committed. I felt no sense of hierarchy. People were going to what interested them. And I wrote to Scrum Alliance at the time and I said, you guys are trailblazers in the world, and we in management and leadership have much to learn from you. And they hired me subsequently to do, I think, what was the first Scrum Beyond Software conference, a two-day retreat in Arizona, and met some incredible people there. So that's where I got the bug to say, wow, these outliers, these people that we call geeks, are doing something cool that we could learn from.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, okay. So tell us, let's see, what is Scrum?
Okay, so now here I'll take you to the next slide.
Okay.
Thank you for that. And you know what they call, like in technology, until the early 2000s, and I think we're all familiar with this, when they would do a major project, major system implementation. Anyway, my experience in companies, it was always over budget. It was always late. And unfortunately, oftentimes the end product, only 80% or 20% of what got designed was used. 80%, it seemed that everyone would put it aside. That was traditional. And there's 17 pioneering trailblazers in that field in 2001 that found themselves at a ski lodge and decided that, hey, we need to do something about this for these complex major changes. And the diagram on the right, on the left, on my left, is called waterfall. The waterfall method is what they call it. And I feel that it's very similar to traditional management now, within a world that is going much faster, that's more complex, where we need to have clients involved with us and have teams working together, multi-sector, just tapping into everyone's talent. So the way it used to be, which is often the way we do our planning, a long-term planning, whether it's over a year, 3 years, 5 years, and then we have different segments of our business that do their piece. Like here in the Agile world, it was, you know, they would identify the business requirements. One team would do that, get the input from the clients, and then they would hand it off to the design team, and they would do their stuff, and they'd hand it off to the develop team, and they'd do their stuff, and then they test and deliver it to the client. Well, you know, this whole integration of having the talents, the insights of the different people along the way, that was not happening. And the time horizon was extremely long before you delivered the product. So when you look at Agile, some of the components, and we won't be giving a whole thing on Agile and Scrum here, but the concept is that you're working in shorter iterations. And as you can see on the right, you have the same functions in different colors where people are working together. So when you're doing your business requirements, you are involving others so they can provide their insights. And the client is very present, not just at the beginning and then at the delivery at the end, but throughout. And they have working mechanisms to do that. And the best is that they deliver saleable chunks of work, like, or pieces or finished product much earlier, so you can improve and you can reiterate, you can fail and fail fast, you can learn, you have much greater satisfaction, you can respond to changes much faster. So it's a real paradigm change.
It sounds like it's much more interactive with the client, and actually following the client lead rather than, designing something and then at the end saying, what do you think? And then going back to redesigning because it's like way too, you already done so much work that it's too late, So it's much more.
You're absolutely right.
Almost custom design, but you design as you go.
You design as you go. Yeah. Yes. And you still have, and I'll show you on some other slides, there's still a lot of rigor to this, but a lot of flexibility. And we do need some rigor. And it's interesting because many times the experts in these fields, they might say, well, why do I need to be involved in that? We're not in my part. Well, when you are there, and it doesn't mean they're there all the time, but there is that interaction that's happening a lot. Well, they get a chance to weigh in. So, I have found when I'm talking to leaders and companies, they really resonate with the principles. And I think the important thing to remember about this is that we have a lot of parallels in our struggling leadership management corporate world today with this waterfall method, if we really looked at it. That's how we're structured and organized. So I find it's exciting to know some people have been working at this and refining it and doing a lot of great work that we can borrow, we can integrate, and we can learn from.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, I love it. We're going to end this session here because just because of our time limitation. But we're going to go deeper into in the next session. We'll go actually deeper how we can apply this in much more beyond the software into all sorts of disciplines. So stay tuned. But for now, thank you, Suzanne. This is already a really great insight.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much.